Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us right now. We'll give it maybe another minute and see if we can get anybody else to come in the weight room. Thanks so much. All right, it looks like it's kind of steady now, right now. Thanks again for joining us today. Appreciate your time. We're going to introduce you to the new ERV Slim platform for Broan called the Broan ONE. I want to just let you know about the questions and how you can interact with us. Please use the Q&A to ask your questions during the presentation. I'll be kind of manning that in general, just answering questions if necessary. Duration is going to be about 40 minutes or so, really just depending on how many questions, how much interaction you need from us. I look forward to kind of the outcomes and get any questions that you may have. My name is Josh Morse. My role is the West Coast Construction Sales Manager for multifamily. And my role is to work with contractors, engineers, and architects for ventilation strategies and product applications. So with that, I'll turn you over to Travis Rash, the product manager for the Broan ONE.
Thanks, Josh. And again, appreciate everybody's time today, taking time out of your busy day to be part of this webinar. As Josh mentioned, we have an exciting new launch that we'll be going through with this new product in detail during this webinar. And again, feel free to use that Q&A function within this Teams app. And as Josh mentioned, he'll be kind of manning that up and answering questions as we go through. And we will have some time at the end here just to address anything additional as you guys digest and understand the information. So with that, we'll go ahead. For those on the call that are not familiar with Broan, Broan has been in the ventilation business just over 90 years now. We have a variety of products and that meet different applications. We have exhaust ventilation products from a simple residential spot ventilation application to light commercial applications, as well as a full suite of kitchen range hoods. We will be focusing on our fresh air systems today with the new Broan ONE launch, as well as dehumidification and our connected indoor air quality products. So again, Broan has been in for quite some time, and we do have that full suite to meet any of your residential ventilation application needs. When we started the overall process, the product scoping for the new Broan ONE, reached out to a multitude of different stakeholders, visited countless job sites, multiple interviews, kind of leveraging the know-how across the entire North American market. And really the key theme that came out with all those different stakeholders that we talked with is, how do we simplify this process? How do we accommodate in a multifamily building those various floor plans that you have? How, with a townhome or a single family home, how do we get to a product in which that can meet that variety of applications? And really, again, it comes back to that simplify. How do I get to one ERV? So from an engineering perspective, from an architect's perspective, how do I plan, design, and specify one ERV model? From a distribution and contractor's perspective, how do I order, stock, and distribute one ERV? Again, in the spirit of simplification, how am I getting back to that one ERV mentality? And then finally, from a contractor's perspective, from a builder's perspective, ultimately a homeowner's perspective, how do I install and maintain one ERV? So this was kind of our overall marching order when it came to scoping this product, developing this product, this is the mentality in which Broan took in the approach of this product that we're going to talk through next. So we're going to start with kind of a general overview. The new Broan ONE is a low-profile design, meaning it is less than 10 inches in overall height, and as well as 20.5 inches in width, just over 32 inches in length, duct to duct. That low-profile design was something that we heard from the field, having a little bit more versatility. Also, in particularly in those multifamily applications where you have those bulkheads, you have those soffits in which maybe other equipment is mounted within, maintaining that critical height of 10 inches or less is really what we provided to our engineering team as relates to the form factor and not to exceed in terms of dimensions. This new Broan ONE product will also feature our Virtuo technology. Virtuo is a technology we launched in late 2020 with our AI series product line. For those that are familiar, we will go in a little bit more detail on what Virtuo means to all the different stakeholders. The product comes standard with washable MERV8 filtration, and we also have an optional 2-inch thick MERV13 filter that can be also placed into the unit without any modifications to the settings, or you can maintain those MERV8 filters that are physically in the product itself as it comes out of the box. The product does feature ECM motors or PMSM ECM motors. These are the same motors that we use in our current AI series products that we launched several years ago. The benefit we have with this type of motor technology and construction is we do have the ability to modify the CFM settings in 1 CFM increments from that 35 all the way up to that 155 CFM range that we have. So we get back to that one mentality in accommodating those various floor plans. How do we get to that 1 ERV that I can specify into a 500 square foot studio apartment all the way up to that 3,500 square foot single family home or anything in between? So that was really the premise and why we're able to make this one platform kind of stretch as it relates to the different applications. And finally, the kind of the final key part is the recovery efficiency. And building codes, energy efficiency programs, etc., are continuing to push these values higher and higher. So this is how effective this product is at taking the outdoor conditions and tempering them with the indoor air conditions. So this is where that recovery of the energy actually happens. And so with this new product, with the design that our team has come to, we're able to hit these much higher SRE or ASRE values, depending on what it is you're looking to energy modeling with this new product platform. So just to give kind of an idea for those on the phone, typically if you get above 80+%, you're certainly in the upper echelon of these types of products, this ERV recovery efficiency. There are building codes and also energy credits or incentives that will be rewarded by the fact that you do have an 80+ SRE type product. So just know with this new product, you will be checking all of those boxes and getting the maximum return on your investment as relates to this ERV product. It was also important for us, again, we do have a full line of existing HRV and ERV models in our AI series platform, and we wanted to make sure for those that are already using them or are familiar with them, that the wall controls are fully compatible with this new platform. So all of the main wall controls that are featured with the AI series, as well as those override controls or auxiliary controls, are fully compatible with this new Broan ONE platform. Probably the biggest differentiator for this product in the marketplace is the in-field selectable airflow configuration. And what this is it's a physical switch on the product. So we're looking at the product itself, and we have that LCD screen centered in the upper portion of the product. And within that kind of cluster there is a integrated switch. And what this integrated switch allows us to do is in field, you have the ability to dictate on which side of the ERV the exterior ductwork is on. So in the case here, if it's on the left side, I will call it what is a standard airflow model. And if we were to simply move that switch from that left side to that right side. We would then move that exterior ductwork or basically duct location and basically make it like a mirror. And why this matters, and this is something we got directly from many of you on this call, is a current customer pain point is in a mirrored floor plan, and whether this is a multifamily application or if you're mirroring floor plans for townhomes, single family homes, etc., there is a desire to try to, again, coming back to that one mentality. You've designed around putting this ERV in one spot, you found the right spot for it, but now when we mirror that floor plan, like in this picture here, across a shared wall, and we try to maintain that same skew, as you can see there, the ductwork gets a lot less attractive. And so what that means from a contractor standpoint is, while yes, it works on a floor plan or a print, doesn't necessarily mean it's actually going to work in the real world. And so the crisscrossing of those ducts in this example, not typically friendly in the field, can typically lend itself to what I'll call creative freedom in the field as relates to actually making this work in the field. We do know when those types of things happen, the performance of the product may suffer just due to the fact of the constraints in which that installing contractor was put forward with it during that design process. So with the integration of this new switch and the ability to dictate on which side of the ERV that exterior ductwork is coming from, you have the ability to accommodate this type of pain point with one product. So we are no longer having to specify the use of a standard airflow model and a mirrored airflow model. It is always the same model. You have the benefit of putting that product in that same location. So you've determined on your floor plans, this is the right spot. This is where I need to run the ductwork to and from. So we're going to simplify that product location by having this integrated switch, making that in-field selectable airflow configuration. Our model specification process, so it's not a 50-50 chance that we either specify the right SKU on the prints themselves on our schedules, but also from a distribution standpoint, from a forecasting standpoint, you will know that when that print comes through, we're not questioning, am I having to order 50 of this standard airflow model and 50 of that mirrored airflow model? It's always that same model that's going to be specified and ultimately you can keep on your shelf. Ductwork routing, so you saw how ugly the previous one was. Now we got this nice clean ductwork on this particular plan here, and that's all again made possible the fact that the unit's physically installed in the same location. We're simply making that choice in the field as to what side of the ERV the exterior ductwork is running to. And finally, from an install standpoint, so if we got a high-rise building, we got 200 going in, it can be very repetitive work. You have the ability from a contractor standpoint, from a, whether you got a newer person on the job, it's always going to be consistent as to how this thing is going to physically mount, where it's going to physically mount, how the ductwork, that ductwork is going to get pretty simple as it relates to that. So the layout, again, we're eliminating that quote unquote creative freedom out in the field. It's pretty well defined, all because of this in-field selectable airflow configuration. The other thing I will point out too, within our product itself is, let's say during the install process, we forget, weren't paying attention, etc. That arrow or that switch was not put in the right spot. So we accidentally forgot, what have you, it happens. The product, when it turns on, will detect what that outdoor air condition actually is and provide a warning code within about the first 3 minutes of running. So we do understand within the product itself what that outdoor air actually is. We will provide a warning code. If during that process, that installer, whoever's doing the commissioning, doesn't heed to that warning code, know that in the longer term run, probably within the first 10 to 15 minutes of actual running, our product will ultimately make over that decision. So we're going to understand what is the actual outdoor air connections on this ERV and make the internal adjustment to basically compensate for that mishap during that overall install and commissioning process. So again, a feature, nothing like it in the industry currently. It is a patent pending feature that allows that simplification for all the things that are currently on this slide. So kind of the next step, Virtuo, I talked a little bit about before. It's something that we've had out in market since late 2020. Virtuo is really three key things. And it starts with the install process and the commissioning process. And that is auto balancing. So what Virtuo does is the very first time that this product is powered on is it'll perform a diagnostic test of the overall install condition. So it is going to start and run through a startup sequence. It's going to determine what the maximum airflow that in this given install condition the unit can achieve is. What this means is we know right at the beginning, are we hitting the airflow that we're expecting? Are we hitting the airflow that's specified on the design, that's required for the application? If not, on that LCD screen itself, there are two icons for houses, one showing supply air going in, one showing exhaust air going out. One of those two houses will be blinking along with what that maximum CFM that was achieved during that initial startup process. If in that situation we're not hitting the expected airflow that we need for that design, for that application, et cetera, we have now split the diagnostic time in half because we are notifying whoever it is that interacting with the product, one of these two, supply or exhaust, is the reason you've reached this CFM that's displayed on the screen. So we also have a better appreciation for what that maximum CFM is and maybe what that kind of that restriction may or may not be. The other part is there's no adjustments needed for this during this process. The unit is adjusting within. We're not having external dampers that we've got to set. There's no dialing with a control of any sort. We're not changing anything externally. All the interaction is done via that LCD screen and the buttons that are located right near it. So this is a completely toolless commissioning process. So no gauges, no damper adjustments, no motor speed adjustments, etc. You can keep the door on as is, simply interact with that LCD screen and do your full commissioning, and the unit will stay balanced during this time. The next is self-adjusting. So we are monitoring 2 times a second a number of variables within the product itself. So if we have a restriction for whatever reason, filter, termination, ductwork, etc., the unit's going to detect those conditions and adapt in real time. So what this means is once that unit is balanced, it's always going to stay balanced. If we run into a situation, because we're monitoring these types of inputs 2 times a second, if we were to run into a situation where we get complete blockage for whatever reason, we're going to detect that. We kind of have a stage process. We're going to provide a warning code initially, ultimately an error code, provide a maintenance indicator light on the physical product, as well as if there's a wired wall control. And we will shut down the unit if necessary. So to protect the unit, protect ultimately the performance of the system. We want to make sure that when things happen in the field, as we all know they do at some point, or the lack of maintenance, etc., that this unit's going to adjust in real time and ultimately make that decision if it's no longer able to meet the performance expectations of the product itself. So just like a check engine light on your vehicle, as well as the warning codes or the real-time codes you get when you scan your vehicle, very similar principle. We're going to provide that warning or that maintenance indicator light, notifying the homeowner, notifying the servicing contractor, as well as provide an error code on that LCD screen. That error code number will then correlate to a condition that's shown in the troubleshooting guide, and ultimately you can make the adjustments accordingly to get back to a fully functioning unit. The final component of Virtuo is the artificial intelligence piece. And essentially what this is our engineers have programmed this product, run it through thousands of different scenarios. We have different variables in which we control within the product to always get back to that set CFM. That's our target. How we adjust various components, various speed settings, etc., within the product itself to always get back to that set target. There's things that we didn't think of, even in the 1,000 scenarios. There's things that we didn't think of. That's where that machine learning component comes in, knowing the levers, for lack of a better term, that it has to pull to get back to that set CFM. That's where we're going to make those intelligent decisions and ultimately optimize that air quality all 24/7, 100% of the time. So one of the other main feedback we heard during our voice of customer, our product scoping process is the need for versatility. And so if you're going to design and develop a new platform, it's got to be versatile where I need to physically put it. We need to have some of that versatility. And we really built into this product that versatility. And so we have really three mounting orientations. The product physically comes with 4 mounting brackets. Shown on the left there at vertical mount are all the basically portion of the mounting brackets. So we have 6 different areas in which you can mount it physically to like a wall or to a truss system, etc., some type of structure. We do also have the ability to mount it in a horizontal orientation, like on the right there, with the door up or door down. There are a set of sliding brackets, same mounting brackets. They're also a set with a basically a sliding slot in them. So you do have the ability to also mount it in the horizontal orientation. So if you're fitting it between, let's say, a truss bay or a set of horizontal runners, you do have the ability to also mount it in that type of horizontal orientation, and that the brackets themselves slide in and out to adjust for various widths. So you do have a lot of flexibility that way. And again, you can mount it with the door up. So if you're like in an attic type situation, you've got that platform or your air handlers near sitting on, you do have the ability to mount this, basically on the unit on its back and have that door open upward. Or you can also have it open downward. And so if you're in like a ceiling application or any type of way that it makes the best sense to get it up off of the wall or off that platform, maybe you're in a mechanical closet and you have that ceiling space available to you, you still have that access to this product. The door does swing down, and after 10 degrees of rotation, you are able to, with the hinge setup, the hinge design we have, physically move that door off its hinges and completely remove that door. So you will have the ability to fully service, maintain anything you would want within that door opening. So why that matters and the reason we have the power connections where we have them is if you're in a in-ceiling cavity type application and you have maybe you have a fire rated access door, it's a requirement. With this product size, you are able to get away with a standard access door, like a 24 by 36, or maybe even a slightly shorter door in length, because everything is physically inside that door opening. We don't have any external wiring connections. We don't have any external line voltage or low voltage connections. Everything is within that door opening itself. So it really lends itself well to that versatility when it comes to that overall install location. So kind of getting ourselves back to the beginning and how we're simplifying the process. And there's really, again, 4 key things. That code compliant high performance. So we talked about that Virtuo, that being a very easy to install, very easy to commission, self-adjusting technology. That recovery efficiency we talked at the beginning, that 84%, and ultimately that fan efficacy. So those ECM motors that we're using, very high CFM per watt, or that fan efficacy. So that's a requirement typically in code as well as energy programs. How efficient are we able to deliver that airflow for the electricity in which we're using to do so? That wide CFM range. So the use of those ECM motors, having the ability to adjust in 1 CFM increments from that 35 all the way up to that 155 at 0.2 static. Having that ability to, again, hone in on if you have these various floor plans, these various applications, you're able to specify this one model to accommodate all of those. So we know simplification is a big part of this. Again, as things get more complex within your building systems, you have the ability to always specify this one SKU. Infield selectable airflow configuration, so that unique patent pending feature. Again, simplifying the design, making the install consistent, again, providing flexibility on that location in which you're designing around. That's truly something that's very unique to the market. We've got a lot of positive feedback already in the month or so that we've been physically selling this product, as well as obviously throughout that design process. Back checking that with all the different stakeholders we've gone through in the product scoping, that was really something that resonated quite well. And again, going back to that, simplifying that process. Finally, the versatility of the mounting. So again, we showed it, the vertical, the horizontal. again, providing that flexibility, how you need to physically mount this product, where you need to mount it, having that versatility at the tip of your fingers is critical. And again, it comes back to that one ERV message. I need to design and specify around one ERV. I would like to order, stock, and distribute one ERV model. And finally, from an installation standpoint, how do I get consistent install in maintaining one ERV? So, Josh, it looks like you might have something in the Q&A.
Yeah, we got a question about does performance efficiency change between seasons?
So the not necessarily between seasons. So sensible, or the SRE is a sensible function. So again, we're always looking at that outdoor air and that indoor air condition. And so we do have HVI rated points at the standard temperatures. You will see a sensible recovery efficiency value. And again, it's going to be dependent on that outdoor air and what that indoor air condition is. Again, know that our SRE is going to, again, hot goes to cold and wet goes to dry. So the recovery core, for lack of a better term, doesn't quote unquote care which side is which. It's going to move that hot to the cold and that wet to the dry, depending on which side of the recovery core that those two conditions are being held. So we will tease it a little bit here towards the end of this. We do have a performance calculator tool we'll be launching here shortly, in which you're able to refine those inputs and see for your exact project location with the product you specified, with the CFM that you have, the static pressure, etc. You're going to get those exact results in terms of that recovery efficiency, in terms of that dry bulb, that wet bulb, that enthalpy recovery ratio, etc. So maybe I'll leave it a little bit of a teaser. Josh, we'll kind of cover that performance calculator at the end and maybe help re-solidify that answer. So
We've got one more question here from
okay.
Alexander. So can you talk about the recovery core? Has anything changed over cores in previous model series? Or there,
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, absolutely. So for those that are familiar, we had our existing low profile platform, the ERVS 100S, or the Sky series as it went to market. That had a polymerized paper core with an aluminum substructure. We have since gone with this new Broan ONE, as well as our existing AI series products we launched in late 2020, to a poly material with a different type of membrane for that latent portion. So yes, we have gone to a fully poly core, and we have gotten away completely from that old polymerized paper aluminum substructure type core. So again, it's something, that same type of core construction, that same type of material is what we've been using since late 2020 in our AI series platform. It's just a different form factor due to the low profile height and the overall length of the product.
We got one more question here from Kurt.
Yep.
We are showing at 0.2 water gauges the static pressure, and he understands that may not be a great real world application,
Yep.
and he's wondering what we are at 0.4, 0.6 and further.
Yep, I'm gonna go off the top of my head. At 0.4, we're at 146 CFM. At 0.6, I believe we're at 138, if I do recall. Maybe 136, Kurt, somewhere in that range. I guess just understand that our fan curve stays pretty flat as that static pressure increases. And again, it really comes back to the ECM motors, their ability to kind of overcome that static pressure, as well as the design of that recovery core, making sure that we're still getting the sensible and basically the efficiency we want out of it, but still be able to move air through. So just know, again, we do have the spec sheets out there. But again, I'm going from memory, top of mind, that at 0.4, we're at 146 CFM, and I believe at 0.6, we're at 138. So staying pretty flat, which is good from an application standpoint and things to design around. Anything else, Josh? Good so far? All right. All right, we'll get into the specs. So we, due to some UL regulations, we would have loved to show you just one SKU number and have the ability to infield, make it hardwired or power cord legally. But we do have basically two SKU numbers. We have a hardwired and we have a power cord. That is the only difference between these two models. Form factor, same, performance the same. It's literally one is ready to be hardwired connected, and one has a 3-foot power cord with it. That's it. So kind of give you some ideas. Hey, yeah, there we go. CFM at the different static pressures. I wasn't wrong. So top of the mind, still good. You can see that sensible recovery efficiency as that CFM changes. Again, we talked about those ECM motors, that higher fan efficacy, as well as that MERV 8 and MERV 13 optional filter. So do know, like all Broan products, they are HDI certified. They can be used to comply with the latest 2021 IECC code, as well as ASHRAE 90.1. They are on the CEC, or California Energy Commission, Title 24 directory already. So for those that are familiar with the fault indicator display requirement, or FID, these two SKUs are out there already as compliant products. So we are already covered there. And then do know too, with all the performance that we've talked about, these products have the ability to gain you those HERS and those ERI points, and ultimately get you to that Energy Star certified home and earn those 45L tax credits. So between the low electricity usage, the higher recovery efficiencies that we've got, these really do well in terms of energy modeling and getting those ERI or HERS point improvements. So anything else, Josh? Good. All right.
Nope, not this time.
Okay. Just give you a kind of high level overview dimensionally. So we do have that LCD screen, like I said, centered up at the top of the unit. It is required when you do put it on that vertical mount that LCD screen is upward. That's due to some UL requirements as well as any concerns with water. We do offer, there is a cover that comes along with the product too. So if you do mount it on a horizontal like platform with that door facing up, we do want to make sure if for whatever the reason may be, if any kind of water were to be dumped onto this product, that we're making sure water stays away from the things we don't want it coming in contact with. Again, just multiple mounting bracket locations. Like I said, the only difference between the power cord and that hardwired is the power cord that is itself. You can kind of see up on the upper right, there's a bit of a cavity within that housing on the side there. That is where the connection for the power cord goes into, as well as that hardwired connection. We provide a connector for that hardwired connection, comes pre-installed on the product. You can use it as you see fit. The connections themselves, so if you're doing a hardwired and or low voltage, for the hardwired connection, those line voltage connections are behind the LCD screen. So there's two screws that hold that LCD screen in place. You remove those two screws, it rotates down at you, and then you will find we have the wires ready for you to hook up for your line voltage as well as your ground. You would make those connections. We provide wire nuts, put those back into the housing itself. There's a dedicated housing area for those line voltage connections. Rotate that screen back down, put those two screws back in, you've made your hardwire connection, and away you go. So again, no external type of connections hanging off the side of the product. There are some codes, there are some local jurisdictions. If you were to have some type of any type of connection, honestly, whether it's for maintenance or for power connections, if that were to hang off externally, there are some codes and jurisdictions that will require certain maintenance distance away from those. So again, if we get back to, maybe this is behind an access door, and you have to have that additional 6 to 8 inches of maintenance access, your access door has now gotten significantly larger because you're having to accommodate that. So that was one of the key drivers to try to get everything within that door opening to make sure, again, that we can minimize that access door, because we do know they're expensive, and also, again, minimize the penetration that we have in a ceiling assembly as an example. So something I should have pointed out too, there are MERV 8 washable filters on both sides of the recovery core. So when you make that selection in the field on which side the exterior ductwork is on, you don't have to worry about swapping filters around from one side or the other. They're there on both sides for that reason. So we're not having that contractor, whoever's doing that install work, have to think about which side do I have to put the filter on. They're both there for you. With that optional MERV 13 filter, that will go on one side or the other, and within the instructions as well as the video, we do notify you on which side, based on the switch position, which side that optional MERV 13 filter should be placed on. The MERV 8 filters do not have to get taken out when you put that MERV 13 on, so they kind of act as a pre-filter then, and then you still have that MERV 13 filter air coming off into the dwelling itself. I talked about the access door. Like I said, it swings, and after about 10 degrees of rotation, it can fully come off its hinges. And then really all from a maintenance access standpoint, you need that about that 9 inches or so for the recovery core depth from a clearance standpoint. We do have motorized dampers on both sides. So we have a supply and an exhaust motorized damper. So no additional backdraft dampers are required. No additional damper adjustments are required. Those come physically on the product itself, ready to go, and will, again, work accordingly based on the unit operation. So 6-inch ports all the way around. It's the same 6-inch port, as well as those integrated vapor barrier collars. So if you're using that insulated ductwork, you want to stuff that insulation in around and then be able to mastic or tape, however you're sealing up those joints. That collar's there as a nice landing surface for that. So for those that are familiar with our existing Sky Series or ERVS 100S platform, just to give you a quick dimensional overview on the differences. So through our voice of customer, through our field prototype installs, we needed to maintain that width commitment. We needed to maintain that less than 10-inch height. But the main feedback we did get is, hey, if you guys got to go in whatever direction to get better performance, etc., higher CFM, you can get longer. And so that's exactly what we did, is we got longer. So we went from just over, from 25 and 11/16 up to that 32-inch dimension duct to duct. So we did get longer, but like I said, that was feedback we heard directly from the field, is if you got to grow in 80 direction, there's certain things we got to respect, width and height, you can always go longer. So again, just providing this dimensional comparison to our ERVS 100S. As we know, this was a very commonly specified SKU that will ultimately get phased out, in this BLP 150 platform, or the Broan ONE platform will be put in its place. Launch details. So I mentioned earlier, we started production over a month, almost a month and a half ago now. We have been shipping. We do have stock on hand here in Hartford, Wisconsin. So everything is ready to go. As soon as you make that order, we will get it shipped. And technical information. So as I mentioned, spec sheets are out there already. We have web pages dedicated to each of those 2 SKUs. Revit file is out there to download. So if you're working within Revit, that file is out there under the respective product page, as well as the manuals. So we do have the manuals out there within both the product as well as the manuals. There is a QR code that is scannable, which will take you to the commissioning video, the maintenance video, manuals, spec sheets, etc. Everything is located via that QR code that's physically on the product, but also on the materials in which that come with the product itself. So, Josh, any other questions?
Yeah, we got a couple more.
Okay.
First one is from Jack. Will you be certifying passive house?
Yeah, Jack, that's a good question. It's something we're investigating. We understand the need more and more. So short answer is yes, we're investigating. I can't provide a timeline right at this minute as to what that looks like for an ETA. But short answer is we understand that there's need, and something that's on our radar for sure.
And then Kurt is asking, is it true that a cross flow core is more like the old S100S? Part
So,
cross and part counterflow.
so this is still a cross flow core. But as you can see in that upper right image there, most of the recovery cores in the past have been just a square. So the angles in which those 2 airflows were meeting was a 90-degree intersection. We have taken the opportunity to go to what I'll call more of a diamond shape type setup there, which you see in that upper right corner. So it is still a cross-flow core. We have not implemented a counterflow core yet in this type of application. But as you saw, we're able to, with this type of design, the elongation within this from width to width, you saw the impact we had on the SRE when compared to the old ERVS 100S. So partially materials in which that were used with the recovery core, but also that overall design, the addition of Virtuo to be able to kind of react accordingly with a more unique shaped recovery core is what lent itself to those efficiency numbers that we showed previously, as well as that ability to move more airflow within this product compared to the old ERVS 100S platform.
And that's it at this time.
Okay, jump ahead a little bit. So I teased a little bit at the beginning. There was a question related to performance and how that looks. We will be here in the very near future launching a product performance tool or calculator tool. This will allow you to, it'll be an online tool, you the ability to enter your project location. So depending on where your project is, it'll pick up the ASHRAE weather station data, auto-populate those outdoor conditions from that given project location, as well as elevation. You're able to put in your percentile days. It'll bring in your climate zone, etc. And then you can make your product selection. So you can either do it by the model if you know the model, or if you simply know what airflow you need, it'll work your way through to get to those models. So based on that location, based on the unit selection, you're able to modify the airflows, both supply and exhaust, your static pressure, basically input any of those design criteria that you would typically need to specify this type of product. And ultimately what you'll get is a calculation report showing you both in the summer design condition, as well as that winter design condition, all of those values that effectiveness, latent, ultimately getting you to your supply air, dry bulb, wet bulb, your enthalpy, and ultimately for ASHRAE 90.1 compliance, what that enthalpy recovery ratio is in both a summer design and winter design condition. You will get a little kind of check mark, green check mark, depending on your climate zone, whether you need to be compliant with both summer and winter or just either or. Again, depending on your climate zone, there's different thresholds that enthalpy recovery ratio can be for that given climate zone and summer or winter design. You'll get this generated report. Again, you'll get that nice little check mark. Yes, based on the inputs you've had here, the location, etc., you are compliant to ASHRAE 90.1, the 2019 version or the 2021. You will have the ability to show and have a generated report to put it right along with your submittals. Also during that design and scoping of your project, trying to decide what that right model is to make sure you're compliant in the end. So a bit of a teaser there. I know there's some questions related to performance. Like I said, this is a tool we're itching to get out here shortly. It will be online based and something you're able to easily go in, navigate, create projects within. Again, make those selections based on where your project location is, ultimately get out of it what that product that you've selected is going to perform like. So, Josh, other questions?
Yeah, just one comment. We'll say Kurt said very well done in both product and presentation.
Oh,
I
thanks,
would
Kurt.
agree. I would agree.
I'll have to send Kurt a check for giving out a compliment. So.
So what we have now, if anybody else wants to jump in the chat and ask any of the questions, please do. If you are welcome to scan this QR code, that's going to give you kind of the next updates of what the product, just from product literature, from any other updates that we have coming to market. We can help you with that. And we have one more question. Will the product performance tool be available to the contractor and homeowners?
Short answer is yes. It's going to be stationed on the Broan-NuTone website under a kind of a application tools section. And I guess short answer is yes. You'll be initial login via email, password, just like you would with many other things. So yeah, like I said, it's online based, so it's something you can access easily. It's not going to be we're not going to ask for your date of birth, social security number, etc., blood type. It's pretty straightforward, pretty universal as to who's going to interact with it. So.
And that is that is it.
Okay, we'll give a few more minutes. Again, appreciate everybody's time, appreciate the engagement. This has been great. This is our fourth one now, and very positive feedback. And again, we as Broan feel it's necessary from an education standpoint to get this type of information out there.
And one other question came in from Oswald. How does the switch change the airflow? Excuse me. Is it based off
Uh,
of the blower wheel?
So Oswald, we do have some patent pending technology that's going on in there. Long story short, it's a combination, a number of things that we built into the product architecture wise. I mentioned being able to detect that outdoor air condition. So what the switch, excuse me, what the switch will do, again, it's dependent on which side of the unit you want the exterior ductwork on. So there's nothing. I guess there's no mechanism inside the unit that are going to change the airflow direction mechanically. Let's put it that way. So unfortunately, Oswald, I'd like to maybe dive a little bit more, but we are where we are with the patent. So
All right. Any other questions? All right. Again, thanks so much for your time. We appreciate it. You're welcome to reach out to Travis or myself. And also understand that we have a full staff. They're going to be in field. We'll know your distributors. We'll know your market and products the best, and can help you really get into the weeds with this product. So thank you again so much for your time, and have a great weekend.
thanks.